Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and people of all ages, we are back once more on the Thursday night for the Radical Race Series SR10 Championship Round 3. And it's going to be from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, or to us sim racers, Mosport. I'm James Parfitt. I'm going to be joined in the booth by Mr. Alex Goldschmidt, who's going to come along for what plans to be an absolute barnstorming ride at this 3.91 kilometre 10-turn circuit. And of course, if you work in miles, it's 2.54. So there we go. Just did the calculations for you here as well. We are on round 3. We will bring you up the scores next week, guys, and we'll keep you updated on where everybody is. Of course, we have just gone into qualifying as well. 10 minutes of qualifying before we go into the race. What races have we got lined up for you this evening? Well, we've got 12 laps for the opening sprint and 20 for the feature. 20 laps at Mosport, I hear you say. Yes, but at a very low lap time, it's not going to take very long whatsoever. I think it's like a minute 14. I think even probably less than that here as well. But let's bring Mr. Goldschmidt into the booth. Alex, welcome in, buddy.
Evening all. Yes, Mosport. Blooming heck. These 20 laps for the feature are going to be quicker than a flash in the pan, let's say.
Absolutely. It's not going to take very long whatsoever. As we can see, we've got drivers out on the racetrack at this moment in time here. 82 degrees on track temperature. Obviously, no rain in the SR8, so we're not expecting any of that. But it is quite a little bit toasty that these guys go around. 1 minute 12 seems to be the time on the board at the moment from Paul LeMay. I was close with me 1 minute 13, but it's going to be a 1 minute 12 lap here, Alex. It's going to come thick and fast, and surely we're looking at the Andretti straight away as the place to make the overtake.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, the speed that these cars carry, if anyone might remember what happened last time out, well, we did have 6 drivers with myself and Jim Cunningham on commentary, but we did have some incredibly busy battles. So one person who said he wasn't going to be here tonight isn't here tonight, and that is the man that took the double last time, Simon Edwards.
Yeah, no, Mr. Edwards. I know there's a couple of people out. Graham Matthews has still got some back problems, and unfortunately, he's not going to make it either. So we're on quite a low 9 drivers, but it doesn't mean that the racing's going to be any less. We do have a new one in Dom Giles has joined joined us on the grid, which is great to see. So we'll see how he gets on. 10 minutes of qualifying. They have got 6 minutes to go. I suspect, though, Alex, they're not going to need all of the 10 minutes.
No, not really. And when you look at the fact that between Paul May and George Gonzaga, who round out your top 6 at the moment, Paul's gone purple in sector 1. And once again, we get a circuit with, I mean, obviously, for those that did pick up the Sports Car America Association opening round less than 24 hours ago, we had 3 sectors at Gilles Villeneuve. Thank God at Mosport, they do sense with the Canadian tracks. It's another 3 sectors. Way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing as well, considering there are some where we have like 6 or something. Steph Brown currently is sitting in 4th. He's got purples on the board as well. There's an improvement from Phil Glover just in front of him, who is just behind him. So both of these are going to improve going over the line through turn 10 before we go on over the line as well. Phil, does he boost himself up? He does, puts himself into 3rd. Seth, 1:12.742. Disastrous final sector there from Seth Brown, and Phil Glover sitting in 3rd.
Well, Phil's really come on leaps and bounds. Jim and I were talking about this last week, that he was behind Simon Edwards and Luke Crowley. Now, Luke Crowley gave Simon Edwards so much stick last week, like both races. If there was a mistake from Simon Edwards, Luke Crowley would have had him over the barrel. Yeah. And again, another mistake there from Seth. So Seth has dropped down to 6th place. Welcome back, George Gonzaga from the Insert Name Racing team. It's good to have him back on the grid. Yeah, the numbers have been a little bit depleted for the opening round and also for round 2, but for round 3, at least we're going to have a few more drivers on the grid. But Paul LeMay, well, we've always known Paul's been a rapid peddler in his own right, and he's the fastest one out there, and he was only just on that last lap, 76 thousandths behind His best effort so far, a 1 minute 12.122. So these laps are going to be very, very quick indeed. So if it's 12 laps for the sprint, of course, let's not forget we have a top 10 reverse for race 2, which in this case will be, like we had last time, a full reverse grid. So whoever's the fastest out there could be the person that might get the double like we saw with Simon last week.
Yeah, Damien G sporting a new livery. I'm loving that. What is on the back? That is a new livery from Damien G. That looks quite amazing, I have to be honest. Fair play to you, Mr. G, on that one. Paul LeMay going faster again as he's going into turn number 8, the long looping right-hander, before we go on down into the left-hander, of course, before they go into the final turn of turn number 10. Through he goes and over the line for Paul LeMay. What's he going to do on the board? It looks like he's got an improvement in 1, but what's the offset with the next 2? 1:12.586. No quicker from Paul LeMay, but Jamie Bird is going quicker.
Yeah, Jamie could look to move up from what is currently 7th at the moment, so personal best for the number 39 in sector number 2 by quite a little bit of time there, to be honest with you. So for him, it's going to be a case of just how much time he's going to claw back and how much further and he could claw himself back up the order. But the good thing was he really battled hard with Seth Brown. So they were the other two warring SR10 pigeons, let's say, last week. So I'm expecting a few more fireworks here at Mosport.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that, I think, to be blatantly honest as well. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting ways that they're going to handle turn number 4. Of course, Moss Corner uphill braking. They've got to get the car slowed down and rotated round. So I think it's going to be a very interesting one. I do love Mosport. It's so fast. It's so flowing. And if you take your mind off it for an absolute minute, you're going to be on the wall. It's absolutely incredible.
It has that old school vibe about it. And what does old school mean, folks? Hardly any runoff area. Barriers trying to scare you like The Exorcist into going into them, magnetism. And speeds over 160 plus miles an hour. So Damien G's gone personal best across the board in sectors 1 and 2. And he's coming out of the final corner now. So can he get himself off of 9th position, out of the final turn, across the line he goes, and
wow,
improves on that time.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised about that. It looked like that he was going absolutely rapid, and he did break into the 112s. Mike Busson's back on the circuit as well. Through the right-hander he goes, and through the left before we go right round the final corner. What's he going to do on the board as well? What's his final offset? Is he going to jump into pole position? No, an improvement, but not pole position for him.
Yeah, but there's still, there's still a little bit of daylight at the end of the tunnel, but there's only 20 seconds left in qualifying here, JP. We don't normally see a hard reset quite a lot of the times on Radical Race Series, but it is, Mike's 47 of the way through the lap. Yeah, he ain't gonna get pole, and Paul knows that he's got the job done, and there we go. Hard reset. Mike Busson got nearly 50% of the way through the lap, and computer said no.
Yeah, definitely. We'll check out the grid now. Paul LeMay is going to be on pole, then Mike Busson, George Gonzaga, Luke Crowley, Phil Glover, Seth Brown, Jamie Bird, Dom Charles, and Damien G will round out the grid. They are going to start getting onto the grid now, and then we'll be up and running, ready for race number 1. 12 laps for these guys. And we'll see how they're going to get on. As I said, they're going to come thick and fast. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be a bit of a manic one at a rate as well. If you had to pick a driver, Alex, really quick, who's you going to pick?
I'm going to go with Paul. He's on pole position. And if you're behind him and you have a little bit of a moment here at turn 1, whoopsie daisy is an understatement. I think there are words a bit more expletive than that we could say that would dictate what might happen behind.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to wait for Mike Bousson, George Gonzaga, Luke Crowley, Dom Charles and Damien G to get on to the grid. We will have a brief 2-minute warm-up between the first and second race, but then we will be back for action for the 20-lap feature. Full reverse grid. Damien G, if he stays where he is, would be on pole. So let's see how these go. We're just waiting for Mike Bousson. There he is. Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Thursday night's Radical Race Series. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are green for heat number 1, lap 1 of 12. Bousson's managing to hold on just about. He's got to try and go around the outside of turn number 1. Paul LeMay did get the jump right at the beginning. He got off the line rather well. Gonzaga's trying to not be on the outside of turn number 2. That is not where you want to go. Phil Glover and Jamie Bird, that is why you don't want to do that. And that is one of the end results as well. Just lucky he managed to not slide the car all the way around and end up on the back of the grid. But Paul LeMay out in front, got off the start. Alex absolutely flew away.
It was textbook from Paul, and that's exactly how you have to nail the start here at Mosport. You can't put a foot wrong. You just got to launch it off the line, but not wheel spin the rear tyres, because they just over-rotate, and then all of a sudden you find yourself, rather than going forwards, you're going backwards. And that's why we saw, Mike Bousson keeping it around the outside of George Gonzaga to keep a hold of second. But of course, everyone's favourite carrot hoarder is really starting to close on in. In the meantime, Seth Brown has had Luke Crowley back up the inside of him. So Luke was really racy last time out. It was incredible how he just put our newbie has just gone around, and that's only on the opening lap coming out of the final corner. So again, it's just one of those things where you just have to be on your marks, and it's cross the T's, dot the I's. It's the analogy, like you got a whiner and diner, you got to, and then have the Netflix and chill. Not go out on a night out on the Raz, have too many drinks, end up in a smelly taxi, and then having a dirty kebab to wash away all your sins. So it's more the case of you look after the car looks after you, and that is crucial in this kind of racing, especially at this track. And we're not that, we're what, 2 minutes and 10 seconds in? We're nearly at the end of lap 2.
Yeah, it's going thick and fast here. Through the right-hander they go. Now through the left to turn number 9, coming into turn number 10. The right-hander now, Bousson in that 666 machine. Chasing down LeMay in front. He's putting him under pressure. There's action a little bit further back. Phil Glover with the ever fast looming Seth Brown tucked in right behind him. Seth down 1 place, of course. So he's doing a stunning job down in 7th there, trying to chase down. Oh, that's not going to help. And unfortunately, that's going to separate him. The only thing that's going to do is bring him into the clutches of the one, Mr. Damien G, in that new livery, the black and I think that's an alien on the front, to be blatantly honest, but I'm not entirely sure.
It looks like cat's eyes to me.
See, I thought that, but then I'm thinking the makeup on the face looks like something out of Aliens. And let me see if I can get...
Or it could be or it could be like...
what is that?
What was it? You remember the film Ghostbusters, and you had Slimer? It's like an inverted Slimer that's been given a black face paint.
Yeah, but it has got fluff on it, so I'm not entirely sure what it is, to be blatantly honest. Let us know in the comments or in YouTube. That would be absolutely amazing, because clearly me and Alex have no idea what is on the front of that. If Damien, if you're watching it back, let us know. Bousson still putting LeMay under pressure up the Andretti. They've gone through 8, 9, coming through 10 now. And Bousson has managed to close that gap down to 3 tenths, one of the closest battle, if not the closest battle on the circuit, apart from Seth Brown and Phil Glover. They're not very far apart whatsoever, as they've just come over the line into turn number 1. But Bousson at the moment putting him there as well. It's the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. Oh, Robert Walker, you are right.
Well, that was a swing for the fences on that one. If it was the original Alice in Wonderland, then I think it would be Computer Says No on that one. But what was that?
Could be.
It said Team something, didn't it? I couldn't quite catch out the
Team Mop or something. Moop.
Team Moop. Moop. Ah, right. I will Google that then.
Yeah, what does it mean?
What is a Moop?
Yeah, well, you tell us and let us know, and then we're going to find the joint and hopefully figure it out and go from there. But Seth Brown in that SR10. This is Phil Glover's opportunity to try and hold on. He opens up the inside line. There goes Phil. Adios. See you later. And Seth Brown has gone through, going into turn number 8. So a great job from him. Moves himself up a position there as well. Gonzaga under pressure from Crowley. There's an ooh from Mr. Goldschmidt in my ear. Oh, what does that mean?
Well, it's got a. There we go. It's Team Moop. Now I've gone to I've found this out via RadicalSimRacing.com. Would you believe it? Established by Guy Robertson, Team Moop sought a highly competitive league featuring skilled drivers and well-balanced field. And a key part of Team Moop's growth came from the bond formed between Guy Robertson and Damien G. It's more than a race team, it's a community.
Okay.
So, oh yes, I've seen a picture, and it is a set of eyes from some kind of feline character, or of some kind. But that's looking at the side, not on the front or the rear of the vehicle. It's on the side that you really have to concentrate on. As Luke Crowley trying to go through at turn 8 around the outside of George Gonzaga. That's never going to work on a month of Sundays.
No, he tried it. He had a go, but he just couldn't get there. He's got to be big and brave around the outside of 8. That's bringing Bird into the mix here. Jamie Bird closing in. We're on lap 6 of 12. 1 minute 12 is across the board of 13 for Dom Charles, who's trying to play catch-up after he did this. And I think this is going to be what you are going to see is a bit of much of 2 applying the power. And that back end of that car says, I do not like that, along with unsettling it on the curb as well. So that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but he did manage to get avoided, which is always good. But nice little battle starting to develop here, and then we've got Phil Glover and Seth Brown. Glover still holding with Seth, which is great to see going up through turn 4. He's quite quick through turn 4, is Phil. There you go.
Yeah, I think one of the good things that Jim and I were discussing last week is the improvement, like race on race. Phil Glover, obviously he's being coached by the legendary Simon Edwards, who's nearly in double digits, I think, for Radical Race Series titles. He's now on number 9. So, and that Phil Glover, oh my goodness me, through at turn number 8. He tried to keep it around the outside. He's got the inside line.
Phil!
In.
Too much.
It was a little bit of this and too much of that.
And I think he hit the grass, didn't he? I think that's going to be the moment for Phil. Watch him on the left, yeah, he does. Oh, and then he just can't stop it, and then bonk. Both of them, unfortunately, go off the circuit, so that's put an end to that one. However, it is not put an end to the Gonzaga Crowley Bird battle. Oh, they're kicking off. Brown, Glover, and G are in pit lane. What did Damien G do? Oh, he just entered pit lane, left pit lane, entered pit lane, and left pit lane again. So I'm not quite sure what he got himself up to for Damien G.
Possibly drive through penalty.
No, he just, and then that's it. Unfortunately, there's no rhyme or reason for it, and he is out at the moment. So Damien G, unfortunately, has disconnected from the session. I will go on a little hunt and see if I can find out why. So there we go for Damien G. But great racing with these 3, and I think we're still going to see some epic action.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we had Paul LeMay versus Mike Bousson. Bousson is now nearly 3.8 seconds behind. St George has actually started catching the 666. So there's a possibility that George could very well. And yes, the laps are starting to count down. We're on lap 8 out of 12, so 5 to go, including this one. And that is, in many respects, when you see time, you see the laps go by, you see the corners go by. There's always going to be one driver, but I think George has now lost a little bit of pace. I mean, Luke's starting to gather it back up again. It's like he's got his second wind, if you will. You know, that revitalised spark, and it's sort of like it gives you a little kick up the backside, as if to say, right, okay. And the kick up the backside is this man, Jamie Bird.
There he is. He's trying to close in now, Bird. You can see the guys up front as well with Crowley closing in on Gonzaga. Is he going to be able to get through? That's going to be the question. Well, he pulls out to the left. Unfortunately for Gonzaga, it looks like it could be job done going into the turn. No, Gonzaga hangs it out around the outside of turn number 8. Comes across Crowley's nose. Crowley couldn't get out the inside of 9. Through 10 they go. All this is doing is bringing Bird into play while these guys carry on jostling.
Yeah, now Mike's got a 1.6 second advantage over George as we head on to lap 9, so 4 to go. As we said, these laps have gone very, very quickly. 10 minutes have now elapsed since we went green for race 1 out of 2. And more to the point, well, Paul LeMay is a very happy chappy at the moment. He's nearly 4.5 seconds up the road from pole position. Lights out. He's very much cruising. It's like a Thursday night cruise on the seafront South End, you know, on a max power cruise or something like that, you know.
Okay. I don't know. I've never been on cruises. Like card cruises. I've never done that.
Well, one of my friends who I knew during college, he had this, I think it was an E46 BMW 318i. And it was a coupe, and he'd managed to do all these mods and everything, and he decided, oh yeah, let's go down South End. I didn't want to go, and I just I blatantly refused. Then all of a sudden, he says, yeah, you missed out. It was a great night. And then someone had taken their VHS camera with them, and this was when we didn't have SD cards and all this poo we have now. It was a good old miniature VHS. You stuck it in. If you wanted to play it back, you'd have to put it in an adapter, then put it in your video your video player,
in your TV.
In your TV. And the quality at the time was wonderful. You look at it now, you're like,
yeah.
Oh, was that technology back then in the late 1990s?
But it was real. That was the only thing between now and then. It felt real. It gave you the memories to put in your grainy VHS in your video recorder. I don't even know if they do them anymore, to be blatantly honest. But it's a lot different in this world that we live in now, mate. I can tell you that much. And they call it progress. I'm not entirely sure.
That depends on obviously if Big Brother is watching you.
Oh, he's always watching. Let's be real about it. Let's be real. As Crowley's still continuing to fight Gonzaga through 8, through 9. Gonzaga looks like he's got a nice little tidy run through that section. He does look quite confident, and you can see he's just opened up a bit of a gap over Crowley coming out of turn 10. But this is the main battle as we're on lap 11 of 12. One more to go, and as I said, Alex has been thick and fast here.
Yeah, we are going to be on the white flag lap very shortly. So from that aspect, I think, yeah, as you said, George was very, very well hooked up between turns 8 and 10, and that's when we saw Luke right up his rear wing that George was just able to park the car exactly where he needed to. He knew he had the confidence, the car, you know, the tyres just bit into the tarmac, he could just turn it left, turn it right, put the car exactly where he wanted. Luke would really have no answer for it.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, it's here that he leaves himself open. And unfortunately, there's not a lot he can do. He's got a wide circuit to deal with. And Crowley's trying around the outside again of 8. He's hasn't managed it at all, and by the looks of it, is not going to manage it again. They do say you keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's deemed insanity. Well, Paul LeMay has led for 12 laps, and he's going to lead for the final one. Is he insane? No, he's just quicker than these guys behind.
And he got the textbook start. And it's when you asked me at the beginning of this race, who's your money on? And I went, Paul LeMay, he's on pole position. He's got to nail that start. He hasn't put a foot wrong. He's just done everything right. And more to the point, okay, it's going to put him 9th place for the full reverse grid race 2 for 20 laps. But again, Paul is really, you know, we've talked about him previously where he's had races where he's been struggling because of obviously with his arm injuries that he's had. But this is a track that is just smooth, it's quick, it's effortless. So sometimes you get tracks that are very, very, how can I say, it's more like brake, turn, point, and shoot, and they're quite angular. Whereas something like this is going to be easier for Paul to manage, as we're about to hit the checkered.
Yeah, through turn 9 he goes. The left-hander here. Paul LeMay is going to come over the line. He's going to take the victory in race number 1 in a dominant fashion. 4.7 fashion there. Mike Busson's going to come alive in second. Gonzaga's just about to hang on from Crowley with Bird in behind. And then we're going to have Dom Charles, who looks like he's just done his own thing again and has got himself in a little bit of a pickle there for Dom. What has he done? Uphill coming into Moss on the exit. I guarantee he's going to hook a curb. And there you go. And around he goes. And then does a lovely pirouette there as well. That looked quite painful from the onboard there, Alex. I have to be honest. Hope it's not in VR.
No, because otherwise if it was our good mate Mr. Phil Glover, then that would definitely be a roller coaster you wouldn't want to be on, and you need a sick bag to your immediate right inside pronto.
Yeah, Seth Brown comes over the line as well. He comes over in 6th. And then Phil Glover is going to come over in 7th, with Don Charles will be in 8th place. Great job from all of these guys. Don't forget, it's a full reverse grid for race number 2, which will be with us quite shortly. So we'll bring up the results now. And here they go. Paul LeMay is out in front with Mike Busson, George Gonzaga and Luke Crowley. Behind that is Jamie Bird, Seth Brown, Dom Charles and Damien G. Unfortunately, Damien G just not quite there this evening and has decided to call it a day. Going into race 2, going to be an interesting one. Full reverse grid, so it's going to put Dom Charles on pole.
And Paul LeMay has an opportunity to equal what happened last week at Road America. Can he do the double just like Simon Edwards did? Of course, for those that do remember when we started this season, the first round at the Nürburgring was not broadcasted. And so, we've seen some of the usual suspects. It's great to see people like Dom Charles being drivers that are coming on board with this championship. But if you do want to get involved, there are the respective links. So please make sure that if you are in the UK or Ireland, you run an SR10, you have the iRacing service, and you want to have some great close racing, come on and join the fun.
Absolutely. Get yourselves involved down in the description below. That'll be absolutely amazing. During warm-up, nobody looks like they're going to go and head out. So we will be going on with race number 2 very, very shortly. In fact, it's in about 45 seconds time. So we'll see how they go and what goes on for that 20-lap feature. Do you think Paul LeMay can do the double?
It's very, very possible. I mean, if he can win by nearly 5 seconds in the opening race, if everyone else thinks, oh yeah, we're not going to let Paul past, I think they may have a little bit of a surprise and accidentally get torn a new one in the process.
Absolutely.
When there's that kind of form, it's like Agent Smith said in The Matrix, I'm inevitable. That's what Paul LeMay seems to be at this moment. And this circuit is very, very conducive, as I said earlier on in race 1, for his driving style. So, but you know what the thing is, folks? It hasn't quite happened yet. We're just about to we're about to get ready to go racing. So, are we going to see Paul LeMay win after 20 laps? Hedge your bets now, folks, because it should be a belter.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out. Here is the grid for race number 2. Damien G, who's not here, will be not on pole. Dom Charles will be with Phil Glover, Seth Brown, Jimmy Bird, Luke Crowley, George Gonzaga, Mike Busson and Paul LeMay. So let's hide that one. Let's go with that one. Let's go there. And we'll wait for everybody else to get going. I wonder if Paul LeMay is going to do the double. That's going to be the exciting thing. Is he going to do the double, Alex?
Well, there's every possibility. He's got one less car to deal with as well. So in Paul's eyes, okay, that's one less radical SR10 I have to dispose with on this 20-lap race. But, if he can lead from the front, we know what Paul's like. We've seen him surge through the field in previous races. And I think with the way that this circuit is conducive to his driving style, he's got a bigger advantage than everybody else.
Absolutely. Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Race 2. 4 lights, 5 lights. It is green, green, green. Charles gets the car off the line and leads going down into turn number 1. Phil Glover managing to hold on to that second place. Seth Brown, Jamie Bird running side by side. They're going to be side by side into 2. I'm not entirely sure this is a good idea here. Nope. Bird does back out and decides not this time around. But at the moment, Dom Charles leads the way as these guys rocket off through 3. And before they head down into Moss, Charles got off the line well there, Alex, I think. And at the end of the day, he had to do that because the others, like this 2, behind Seth Brown and Jamie Bird, are going to be coming at him thick and fast.
Yeah, Jamie Bird trying to go around the outside as they're going to go onto the back straightaway. And what's interesting about this hairpin, it's very, very cambered, and it goes uphill as well. So you've got to really sort of launch the car up it, but not so much that all 4 wheels make their way off the tarmac. But I think in this 20-lap race around this circuit, we've seen already in race 1 how attrition can happen, and sometimes you can, you know, use discretion as the better part of valour, especially if your name is Paul Lemay, as Bird and Jamie Bird has possibly had his evening Weetabix at the moment as Mike Bousson fires it up the inside of George Gonzaga going across the line. And yeah, Paul might just be using a little bit of a strategy here. This is a longer race, so it's a different call to, say, starting from pole, leading every single lap, winning by 5 seconds, which here is an absolute landslide. But yeah, you've just got to wait for your chances, but don't wait too long, is what I'll say.
I'm interested to see how long he's going to wait here, because he is tucked up behind Bousson. They are near enough running side by side. Bousson there with Gonzaga. This is going to be the draft train effect led by Phil Glover. How close is everybody else going to get here? That's going to be the question. You can see them all coming down in a line. Seth Brown is going to go up the inside. Phil, you left the door wide open, son. And if you're going to do that, mate, you might as well invite him in and get him to steal all your things you got as well, because he's just going to get robbed. Bird almost tried the inside line as well, and Phil Glover did still lose 2 places in 1 corner.
It's like he's opened the barn doors and all the horses are bolted out of the stable, to be honest with you. But it's you know, you can just see how close these drivers are. Luke Crowley's really going to try and find. I think Luke's probably going to. Oh, and Paul has just gone off the circuit out of turn 1 and into 2. So Paul, you know, it's a case of he was probably hoping on a little bit of a radical miracle, so to speak. Pardon the use of the word radical there, but it's more the case of, is there going to be any argy-bargy that's going to cause problems at the sharp end of the field? Well, when you've got Dom Charles being chased down by the very, very visible Seth Brown in the number 38 car, who's just gone and set the fastest lap race on lap 2, 1:13.324. It's a case now that, well, it's not when.
Why?
No. That was a side swipe and a half there. I'm sorry to say, poor old Dom Charles. Seth got a really good run on him, but he just missed time.
Why did he ding dong him?
He's gone around the outside. Look, he's literally. You could just see he's opened up the steering here, and then you're going to see the steering wheel. Now, he was having to correct there, so whether he's noticed and he's gone, oh, it's too late, and Dom has gone into the pits. Oh, Jamie Bird's just dropped it. Jamie's just gone as well.
Yeah, you can see him turning left there to try and get the car rotated.
Yeah.
Then he just slides, straightens up, and then unfortunately, ding dong, the bells are ringing, and both for the cars, and Dom Charles goes round. Not entirely sure what Jamie Bird has gone and done. He's lost the back. Bro, that ain't stopping. Good luck. Stay out the barrier if you can. No, you can't, unfortunately, for Jamie Bird there. But yeah, big incident for Dom Charles. He's now in pit lane. He's getting all stuff done. Glover's now sat in second, and he's got fast charging. Luke Crowley right up behind him.
Well, Phil might be counting his chickens at the moment, but not before they hatch. And Luke Crowley, again, that's brave coming out of 8. And he's back in, and Phil's lost it now. Oh, he had the get out of jail free card with that one, did Phil Glover. He was so lucky he didn't end up in the barriers. And what has this done? This has now brought Paul LeMay up into fourth. Now I was kind of thinking maybe by probably halfway through the race on lap 10, and Paul just absolutely firing it like a guided ICBM missile through on the inside of Phil to get through for fourth place. It was a case of, you know, you could have said, yeah, maybe by halfway Paul's going to be up there. Well, Paul has been picking his moments, and sometimes some people will use the desperation, some people will use the urgency, and as I say that, Paul has just made a big old mess of what that was.
Whatever it was, he's still managing to go in the right direction, which is more to say than for Dom Charles. And as well, Dom did go in and get some repairs done, but then he's had another off.
It's going to be
he just can't stop.
Yeah.
Look, his brakes locked, everything, bang, into the wall and then straight back to pit lane for Dom. So he's got a little bit of a, unfortunately, a bit of a fix now. If he's used his fast repair on the first one, I think he's actually out, to be blatantly honest. Paul LeMay still sitting in that 6th place. He's got Phil Glover in front, Gonzaga in front of that. Then Mike Buson's a little bit up the road. He's trying to chase down the guys of Luke Crowley and also Seth Brown, as they're continuing to fight all through this second little group here, just continuing the battle. So there you go. Unfortunately, we've lost 2, but we've still got nice little tidy Phil Glover, Gonzaga and LeMay battle to look at.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here at Mosport is that if you are over a second behind us, that was a hip check from Paul on Phil. Coming out of turn number 7, going out to the back straightaway. If you are over a second behind the car in front, you don't really get the benefit of the tow, as Phil is now coming back at Paul on the run down the back straightaway in towards turn 8, and he's done him. He's done him as Phil on Paul LeMay, so the battle for P5 continues. Now Phil is 1.4 seconds behind George Gonzaga, and George Gonzaga in his own right is nearly 2.5 seconds behind Mike Buson. Luke Crowley, however, is getting on with things at hand. He's just put in his personal best. Buson's put in the fastest lap of the race of 1 minute 12.447, which was well over 5.5 tenths of a second quicker than Luke Crowley. Paul's now thinking, well, I shouldn't really have left it as long as I did, but maybe there might have been a struggle in this second race that he's had an issue with. Maybe that first race was hiding a little chink in the armour.
Yeah, maybe his arm certainly does find the he did say he does find the SR10 a lot harder than the SR8. So maybe for him, he's just obviously, he's still got time though, Alex. If we were like lap 15 or something, I would definitely be worried. But we've still got 13 to go, and he's not a million miles away. You know, Glover's 5.5 seconds off Seth Brown. Obviously, you can see how far back LeMay is from Glover there. As he pulls out, he's going to go around the outside into turn 8, is he? Yep, sweeps around the outside. Glover's got no answer. Shots it, takes the apex as well. And Paul LeMay goes through. He's now going after Mr. Gonzaga, who's going after Mr. Crowley. And Buson cannot get rid of Mr. Crowley at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think what you said was completely spot on. I mean, Paul LeMay's just done a 1 minute 12.760. That's his fastest lap of the race on lap 7. And he was nearly 8. He was about 7.5 tenths quicker than George. So that gap, which would have been 1.5 seconds, is now 3/4. Well, it's now less than half of it. So Paul, now that he's got a bit of clear air, is able to do something with it, and the car is now being a bit more compliant. Maybe the chink in the armour is the fact that when you get a bit close with these SR10s, you get that aero wash, that dirty air from the car in front, and that the back end of your car will feel a little bit skittish, a little bit loose on the rear end, especially when you're trying to go through a corner and put down the power, or as sometimes you like to say, give it the berries on the loud pedal.
Yeah, They've just got to be sensible, I think, because it's going to be interesting to see how these cars react when they start doing these longer runs. You know, don't get me wrong, we're not in a NASCAR, they're not running at Talladega, and we're not hoping to get at least 30 laps under green, like, you know what I mean? But what we're saying is obviously with the fact that they are going constantly on the right-hand side. They've got the left going, they've got the right going. It's all scrubbing. And this is the thing. It depends on what these tyres are going to be like by the end of it, I think. I don't think they're going to be a massive problem. But the track temperature is 83 degrees Fahrenheit, which is quite toasty in conjunction. And as you can see the amount of pressure that they are putting on. But Paul LeMay putting pressure on Gonzaga now.
Yeah, and that gap between George and Luke has now expanded to 4.4 seconds and climbing. So this is where Paul needs to strike whilst the iron's hot. He's got to really get the run coming out of turn number 7 and now put the pedal to the metal and go after George. And that slipstream is pretty mighty when you're within 0.3 of a second, but he's not possibly close enough to try and fire a move unless George has a problem going into turn 8. Look, the overspeed from Paul is carrying him round the outside into turn number 8 and through, round the outside, the old Slim Shady through 8. Paul LeMay gets through on George Gonzaga. Now he can start chasing as we're pretty much we're coming up to halfway through as George is coming to pit lane. Now that could be for, is that going to be for a pit stop? Or is that the trundle of shame?
No, it's not. It's too far over. That's a stop. Oh. I don't know what he did there. I don't know. That wasn't any form of pit stop, but whatever he did something. As Bussard's chasing down Brown. 10 laps to go now. And these guys going through turn number 4. So good run here from Bussard. Can he manage to keep this, or is he going to get Seth, do we think?
Well, considering what we've just seen with Paul LeMay, yeah, it's the outside line going in towards turn number 8, and Bussard is passing Brown like he's standing still, but it's going to be nip and tuck here going into turn number 8 round the outside. Yeah, Bussard does exactly there's a doppelganger copycat on that one in the Team Radline 666. Paul's got way too much clear air between himself and Luke Crowley. That gap now is 4.9 seconds, but we know Paul very, very well. Part of the Two Brothers Racing, of course, brother Michael not with us here this evening out on track. That gap is at this point now, I think, a bit too big of a mountain for the number 27 to climb. But who knows what might happen, because Bussard, Brown and Crowley are now a second apart, and that is the battle, not just for the top 3, but also for the race 2 victory.
Is Crowley going to be able to get on to the back of Brown and Bussard? No. Well, he should do. He'll be able to use this draft, but obviously these guys are going to get it at the same time here. And Bussard is leading the way. Up they go. Is he going to put on more of a defense over Seth Brown? Where we're going to find out this time around. Coming into 8, hugs that inside line. He's going to force Brown around the outside. Brown can't get there. Bussard covers him off. Coming into the right-hander. Now through the left-hander. Bussard manages to hold on. Brown cannot get through here. And Bussard survives another lap in the lead as we go on lap 12.
And here comes the Jaws music in the background. Of course, non-copyright, which means you can't hear it. I can definitely hear it. I think your ears might be burning, JP, because Crowley is now very much into this battle. And one wrong move from any one of these 3, that will be game over. All she wrote.
Well, let's hope they don't go and do that, because that's the last thing we need to take out the top 3. However, Paul LeMay would get his second win of the night, I suppose, on the upside to that. But I don't really want to see the battle ending that way. Let's have a look from the left front of Seth Brown, or right front as you're looking where we are, as he's chasing down Mike Bussard on lap 12 of 20. Up the Andretti they go once more. He's going to send you on the outside again here, Seth. He's going to force you to go round the outside. He does start pulling out now. Seth Brown, is he going to be able to sweep in? Buson knows he's got to send it in deep to cover her off Brown. Now they're going to go side by side into 9. Is Buson going to be strong enough to hold the inside for 10? He is. And Brown can't get through, but look at Crowley now. He's going to come down the start line. He almost got Brown. Brown's trying to fish around for the draft from Buson to keep him in front of Crowley there, Alex. And he jinked to the right, he jinked to the left because he knew he had to keep that draft.
The biggest problem is with the amount of force that's going through the sidewalls of the tyres, and even though that, yeah, they are lower profile than some of the cars that we commentate on, you can just see that it cost Seth Brown all that momentum, and it's put him nearly half a second behind Mike Buson. Crowley now has that little bit of carrot being dangled in front of him, like a donkey ride, you know, a donkey on the beach, and you're the person that's holding said carrot in front, saying, "Come on, let's go, let's go." It's more the case that Luke now can see how it's playing out in front of him. So Brown is going to try and see down the Andretti if he can close on in and go past this time around, which might happen. Not quite this time. Seth was a bit too far back. He was 3.5 to 4 tenths behind, and that's not where you're going to get that overspeed that we've seen for many a driver. However, for the first time in quite a few laps, Paul LeMay's gap between himself and Luke Crowley has dipped under 5 seconds. Now, if these three continue to battle, maybe over the next 5 laps as they are now, that could give Paul LeMay the opportunity, and Paul's just taken half a second out of Luke on that previous lap.
Such a big ask. I don't know if it's too much for LeMay.
I think it might be. I mean, if it was 3.5 seconds, you could probably err on the side of caution and say there's more of a 50-50 chance, whereas now it's sort of like 70-30 in favour of the one of the top 3 taking the win here, rather than the man down in 4th position.
Yeah, and he's got no draft to play with either, LeMay. LeMay's running around on his own. Look, he's in the background there, but these guys are using draft, and we'll have a look and see what their top speed is. 158, 159, 160, 61 under draft, 63 on corner entry. Now we put that in conjunction with Paul LeMay, 157, 57. I'll give him 57, but it was a goddamn close 57. He's 6 to 7 miles an hour slower than them under the run up into the corner. So I can't see this gap coming down. No offense, Paul, if you watch this back. I can't. Oh, however. Oh, Seth Brown in the wall. Massive hit.
I think I had commentator's clairvoyance a few moments ago, didn't I? Not commentator's curse.
Wow, he goes on the curb, spins the car, round he goes. Oh, I want to see how much he missed Luke Crowley's rear end there. Because that was mightily close from Seth Brown. One mistake.
Well, in the words of The Who, well, Seth Brown definitely plays a mean pin ball on this particular occasion. Oh, mama.
Wow. And it just goes to show, how close that was. Alex was insane. But Crowley now pulling in down below the 6/10 mark. Buson's looking quick, mind you. Brown's just put himself in the wall. Fortunately, he joins Dom Charles and Damien G here. I think this is going to be an out for him. It looks like Jamie Bird has also just had his own moment on his own again. Oh, his turn is sliding already. The car's unsettled. Is he going to be able to get it rotated round? Nope. Unfortunately, one of them little half spins.
He's still going to have to check his virtual underwear after that one, though.
Oh, dude, them spins are the worst because they're so meh. They just sort of twickle. You know what I mean? It almost sort of twickles round and it does my nutting. So, you know, I think that's the thing. They're so slow and awkward that no matter what you do, you power out and you go round faster. You brake and you still go round. There's just nothing you can do about it. So I think for Jamie Bird there, he'll probably look back at that and go, really horrible.
It's kind of like that bit where you've got the guy that goes, I got it, I don't got it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that turn 7 going onto the Andretti, is, as I said, it's really, really deceptive. The entry point is you're going uphill, you're going right, it's cambered down to the right-hand side, and then you've got this sort of like mini crest that you've got to negotiate, and that's where the car gets unsettled, because if you take the wrong entry point into that corner, it is going to ruin not just the rest of your lap, but ruin your entry and exit point, as we just saw with Jamie Bird. And he's now, what, nearly 36 seconds behind our race leader, Mike Buson. And one of the, if anyone caught the Monza historic racing that we saw for the JPB Radical SR8s, which I have to say, nice work, you and O'Leary and Dean Biggles, because that was me and James. We were watching it. We were talking to each other by Discord DM behind the scenes, like going, "This is absolutely crazy." And that just goes to show that in radicals, it doesn't matter if it's the SR8, it doesn't matter if it's the SR10. You put a foot wrong, it will bite you in the backside quicker than the word jump.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It is literally bonkers. You know, that race that on that day of Monza was just absolutely nuts. 3 wide round the banking, there was all sorts of things going on, and it was just complete ludicrousness of racing that I've ever seen in my life. However, recently though, the OGRL was coming back in a couple of weeks, and I get a message from Brad saying, "James, you've picked the track Thruxton for last season. What do you want for this season?" Where do you think they're off to?
Answers on the postcard, please.
I can tell you now, for GT3, GT4, they're doing this season, I think it is, their little mini-series. GT3 and LMP2, they're off to Monza Historic without chicanes. So, yeah, that's going to be absolutely nuts. These guys coming on lap number 18, though. As we've got, well, one and one more. And Crowley not looking like he's getting any closer.
I think as soon as he got half a second behind Mike, that's when the draft opportunity starts to dissipate, and you've got to still be within that window. But he's now back within 4.5 tenths. So it's going to be 1 and 1 more. There is a possibility here. Let's have a look at the lap times. Buson's last lap was 1 minute 13.0. Luke Crowley, 1 minute 12.5. So the gain is still afoot, I think, here, JP, because he's within that half a second. If he can get out of that turn 7 complex and go flying down the Andretti and keep it within earshot of Mike Buson, then there's reason for the 666 Team Radline driver to be a bit worried, let's say.
Yes, but he's got one more lap to go. That's the thing, isn't he? To be able to manage to hold on, and it's not anywhere around turns 2, turn 3, or anything like that he's got to be worried about. It's here. It's the Andretti. He cannot stop Crowley closing in, and he's got to use turn 1, 2, 3 to 9 to stop him, because at the moment, this is the area that Crowley's close enough, and if Buson can hold it for this final lap, well, he would have done a blinking good job, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, well, he's probably taken another 3 tenths of it out of him on this lap. As they're coming out onto the white flag lap, lap times will be, well, Crowley was actually slightly slower by 8/100ths of a second. And now he's 5.5, 6 tenths behind. If Luke gets the mother of all exits out of turn 7, he's got to be very, very late on the brakes. He's got to absolutely nail it, like a dead pigeon to the mast, so to speak, and just go for it. He's got an opportunity. If he doesn't take it, he'll be kicking himself up the backside.
Yeah, but where's he going to take it from? Is he just going to dive him? That's the problem. Can he dive him going on here? Well, we're going to find out as these guys come up the last time up the Andretti. Buson's got to decide where he's going to go. He sends Crowley round the long way. They start getting a little bit of argy-bargy. Mike side by side with Crowley. He's got to send it in deep. Mike has here. He knows this. He's got to hope that car sticks. Crowley leaves him room on the inside. Through turn 9, Crowley's backed out just a little bit. It's going to be Mike Bousson over the line as well. Final lap run. Bousson, is he going to grab it? He does grab it. Right at the line from Mike Bousson. Wow. That was a finish and a half.
38 thousandths was the winning margin after that. Like literally, if Mike had slipped up through turn 9, it would have put him on the wrong foot. It probably would have put him wide at turn 10. And he was a very, very lucky man on that particular occasion, because if Crowley was a little bit further ahead down the Andretti when he went round the outside and got not just the toe but also the side draft, and that's a very important thing of when you've got side-by-side action. You can see here that on the replay, Luke is about the length of a front splitter ahead. Then Mike, going into the left-hander at 9, is about a car length ahead. So Luke decides, well, you know what? I'm going to try and do the old crisscross, which means he switches the car to the outside, tries to cut through the apex a little bit better. They both might have had a little bit of tail wagging the dog, so to speak, coming out of that final turn. But you know what? Credit to Luke for giving it a go.
Yeah, absolutely. Here are the results of race number 2. Mike Bousson is your winner by 300ths of a second. Luke Crowley in second, Paul LeMay in third, then Phil Glover, George Gonzaga, Jamie Bird, Seth Brown, Dom Charles and Damien G, of course, finished further down. One hell of a battle, says Shade 79. It definitely was that. Let's bring Mr. Crowley into the booth and have a chat with him here as well and see what he thought of that last lap. Luke, welcome in, buddy. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, cheers, guys. I'm a bit sweaty after that one, to be honest.
Yeah, that was you and Mike going a little bit full ball there, sir.
Well, you got to try it on the last lap, haven't you?
I thought you could have been braver going into 9, though, mate.
I mean, I could probably be a lot braver, to be honest. I did my first ever lap of Mosport about an hour and a half ago. So.
Oh, okay, fair play. Fair play then, mate. I'll give you that one as well. What's the where are we going to see you this season, Luke? We're going to see you for all of it, or are we just going to see some cameos as it goes on?
Oh no, you should see me for all of it. I think I'll miss Bathurst maybe, but no, I should be about for the rest of them.
Do you think you can get Simon Edwards?
I'll give it a go. I was pretty close last week, and I was even closer to Mike this week. So hopefully, hopefully I don't get a string of second places the whole season. That'd be annoying.
Yeah, definitely would be. But then again, I did do a championship the other day where the championship winner never won a race, never got pole, and never got the fastest lap all season.
Yeah, they do say, it's points that wins the championship, not wins.
Yeah.
But wins are nice.
I'll give you that one, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go, mate?
Just to everybody that's turning up, great race as always. Really enjoyed it. Keep it going. Shout out to Mike for the win. And was it Paul that won the sprint?
Yep.
Shout out to those two. But yeah, that's everybody.
All right, man. Take care, Luke. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Right, I'm going to grab Mr. Phil Glover while I've got him in the booth with me here as well. Phil, welcome in, bud. How are you?
Hello, James. You have a good break?
I did, mate, actually, to be fair. It was, I was getting my son ready for his junior drag bike debut last weekend at Santa Pod.
Oh, right, okay.
So it was a bit of a manic time. Alex Lozos, who speaks to me daily, and it's been a bit of a rough one on that one. But anyway, you're racing. Improvements again. I'm seeing you getting better and better, mate. Is something finally clicked with you and Simon Edwards?
Maybe so, although big apologies to Seth, because I tried something I'd tried the lap before, which I thought might have worked, and it didn't this time. I was too quick into... I took the outside line round. I don't know which. There's probably probably two corners from the end.
Yeah.
And
you door banged him, didn't you?
I door banged him. Yeah.
Oh, well
and truly.
He survived.
But anyway, yeah, survived into fourth, I think. That was that one.
Yeah, exactly. That's all that matters, isn't it? As well, what are we seeing from Phil Glover this year? Top 6 every year, Phil. Teetering on that top 5. Are we going to break the top 5, Phil?
It'd be nice to get a podium first of all. I don't think I've ever had a podium.
No, not that I can remember.
Yeah, so that would be a good start. There was a chance tonight, but it didn't really happen. Yeah, and well, at the moment I'm doing okay in the championship, but then not many people have been in it up to now. So
Listen, I want to ask you a question, and
yeah,
please,
go.
don't take this the wrong way.
Yeah.
You got bullied out at the beginning of 2. You know what I mean? It looked like they just come through, they nicked your shoes, they stole your lunch money, they sent you home with no pants
Yeah.
on. You got bullied out. Do we need to see the Simon Edwards aggression rubbing off on Phil Glover?
I think what needs to happen now, because we've spent quite a lot of time sort of trying to work out lines and braking and such like that, but we're not really spending a lot of time on strategically thinking about positioning for not that corner, but the next 2 corners in advance. And so I did learn something a little bit yesterday when I did some practice for that outside line that I took, because it meant I could probably take more speed into there, provided I could get it slowed. I was on the inside to take the next one. It's that, the series of 3 bends.
Yeah.
So, but I need to think about that a lot more in my driving,
All right, mate.
positioning for the next corners, really.
Yeah, okay, bud. Well, it was still an interesting one and a great top 5 for you anyway. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Well, Simon's out watching War of the Worlds, so I hope he doesn't get picked up by some aliens. But, well, he's an alien himself.
Where is he?
He's, I don't know, I don't know whether it's Manchester or it might be Leeds. He's watching War of the Worlds concert.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a little bit envious of that.
Yeah, War of the Worlds is quite good. I've listened to the book on Spotify and watched the film, so yeah, should be a good one. All right, bud. Yeah. Well, have a fun one, sir, and I'll see you next week. I'm not going to ask you if you know where we are because you're going to tell me, aren't you?
No, I don't know this time.
Okay, you're off you're off to Japan at Suzuka, buddy.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, mate.
That could be quite big in Japan.
You could well be. See how you get on.
Yeah.
Have a good one, bud.
Yeah. See him.
Bye. Bless him. And there as well. Let's have a chat with Mr. Paul LeMay, who I've just interrupted mid-conversation, which unfortunately is not on me because I don't know when they're talking. But he did take a win in race number 1 and a podium in race number 2. Paul, welcome in, bud. First off, the SR10s are a lot harder to drive than the SR8s, mate. How's the arm?
Yeah, it could be better, mate. Yeah, it was hard work, but the circuit does help me out a bit. Yeah, so hang in there, mate.
Well, that's all that we can ask for, bud. But a great win in race number 1. I think you're like 5.5 seconds up the road.
Yeah. I think Mike went and he went off and onto the grass somewhere, and I think he was just trying to get the cows in or something. But no, he's something fell off his rig or something and distracted him. But
it's probably where he got blown off by them 15 fans or whatever he's got.
I'll leave you boys to grill him on that one.
Oh,
but,
I will as
yeah.
well.
It's probably his monthly supply of carrots that got thrown out the window. That probably was.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so that was really enjoyable. Enjoyed race 1. I had good pace tonight. Struggled a bit in race 2. Difficult to overtake cleanly. But yeah, pretty pleased with P3. But if you got a couple of drivers nose to tail out front, it's so hard to try and bridge that gap. And I just gave it everything, but just couldn't do it.
Was you being patient over the first half of race number 2? It looked like you were just kind of following the leader.
Yeah, because it was getting a bit hectic for a bit, and it's just trying to get close enough to get a good run on someone. You've got to be flipping good on the brakes down towards a hairpin to go through there. I think I hit Mike up the arse there, and I think then George hit me from behind. So it's you just got to be a bit careful. So a bit of patience, hoping it would pay off, really, mate.
All right, bud. Well, listen, good job. We're off to Japan at Suzuka next week. Be interesting if we see you out on the track. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go there, buddy?
Mr. Crowley. I think he did a good job there. I'm looking forward to watching the broadcast back. I don't think he's turned. I think it's the first time he's turned some laps here, so that's a pretty good performance. So well done to him.
Yeah, and I never said anything bad about you, mate.
About me? Oh,
Yep.
it makes a change.
I
Makes
know.
a change,
I
mate.
know, you'd be proud of me, bud. You'd be proud of me.
Oh, good. All right, mate.
Catch up with you Monday, mate.
All right, mate. You take care.
And you, bud.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Right, now we better bring him in to the booth, otherwise I'm never going to hear the end of it either. It is the
Well,
man.
You always will.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. The carrot crunching, farmer, fun-loving Somersetarian from the hells of Froome, Mr. Mike Buson. Mike, welcome in, bud.
Well, good evening. I just want to make sure how many minutes we got so I can keep on topic, or if I've got to put some money in the pot.
You better put some money in the pot.
What's the time?
It's only 10 bars. Jesus.
Yes, double time now, isn't it, for you?
Listen to you. You make it out like I charge you an absolute fortune. I'll
Well,
tell you.
you know.
I'll tell you what. I'll get a bill from another broadcaster and I'll send that over.
We think Trump's tariffs are high. My dear Lord, he's never met you as a...
shut
Oh, we went there.
up.
We went
Listen
there.
to you.
We went there.
Oh, we've got onto the Trump subject a bit too early. Let's talk about racing first.
Yeah, because Seth Brown don't like him, so we can't go again. We can't say
Who,
that
Trump?
one. Yeah.
He's an absolute legend. All right, nutter. Anyway, let's get to the racing.
Race number 1. Was you ever going to catch Paul LeMay?
Yes. Simple answer, yes.
But you didn't.
No, I'd like to make this a very good excuse. I have a new headset. It's got a magnetic microphone on. I've got high bolstered chairs. I destroyed my headset, and it was me trying to put my headset back on, and I just ploughed straight on.
So is that your excuse, the fact that it wasn't one of the 10 fans that blew off in your face?
No, the lights did flicker slightly, and I have had to put them on straight to the mains electrics.
What, the National Grid?
Well, I do have a pylon 2 doors down, so I have tapped into that.
Oh, fair play to you on that one. And then race number 2, you took an unprecedented win.
Well, this is true. I thought to myself, I'm going to be better on the longer run anyway. And I thought, I got this. I got pace over these guys. I don't have to rush it. I said to Luke, the problem is I hear 2 laps from the end, Mr. Parfitt's voice going, oh, he's fucked it up. Oh, sorry. I apologise. He ruined his own race again. He's his own worst enemy. Oh, he's a nightmare. Oh. And I thought, no, I'll take it nice and steady around Mosport. I got all the grip, all the downforce on tonight. So it was literally launch out. And I thought, he's coming alongside me. Ooh, I might have just made a right old hash of this. But no, hold on. Good for the stream. Get the punters in, so
Well, you did a good job, mate. You sent it deep in through 9 and in through 10. I thought he was going to cut back over you, but I got to be honest, you did a stellar job. One question that we did have a debate about during the racing, and we didn't really know the answer. What was tyre wear like out there, mate?
Perfectly fine.
Okay, cool. That answers
Perfectly
in
fine.
that one.
I found it a little bit slipperier than usual. I don't know if it was, but I had all the downforce on. I had it quite soft, and it wasn't the grip that I normally expect from the track. So a bit hesitant to start with.
Well, listen, bud, you're over your time, so I'm going to let you go. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
So shout out to Simon, because I'm replacing Simon. He was been helping me do learn how to overclock AMD, and he said, as a trade of labour, I've got to replace him tonight. So I'm shout out to Simon for making me race tonight.
Okay.
And obviously, Donald, thanks for keeping the 10% tariff for the UK. I'd much appreciate it, mate. And say hi to Putin for me. Loving his work.
Right. I'll catch up soon, Mike.
All right, love you. Bye.
Bye, love you. Bye.
Bye.
You know what? I have just finally composed myself. I just messaged James and I went Trump too early in that conversation. I can't stop laughing. And all I can say, public service announcement. When you have Mike Buson on the stream, be very, very careful.
That's why we bring this broadcast to you after 9 p.m. I've got to be honest.
Exactly.
There really is nothing we can say. Look, let's be real, Alex. They all watch people probably, they're multiple different streamers and stuff as well. So completely worse language than what we do here. Neither of us swear it on the broadcast. We leave it up to the drivers. We do need to do like a JPB after hours. That would be an interesting...
Oh, you know what? You keep on mentioning that, and I know who your co-host will be, and he will leave no quarter, and that man is Mike Bousson from Froome in Somerset.
Yeah.
I mean, like, literally, as soon as he meant... I was waiting for whatever the day was called. I can't remember. I know that Mike could probably tell us anyway, because he loves Donald.
Yeah,
loves Donald to pieces. He's probably one of his BFFs over here in the UK.
He thinks he's an absolute legend. But I think it's really hard. But anyway, before we get too political, let's leave these guys. We'll have this conversation off a stream here as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, later on we've got League Zero coming up with Hamish Monroe and Dean Biggles, 2 Australians. Got to check that one out. That's going to be absolutely mental. And then we've got the Oval Madness on Friday with TSRC, Virtual World Sports Car, OGRL versus Tanzo for the full throttle face-off. Then the IGP finishing off Sunday night, and then we go off to Triple Bypass. I've been JP. I've been alongside Alex Goldschmidt. Take care. Have a great week. And you never know. We might see you on the track sometime. Good night.
Jungle.